Hey everyone. So this is just a quick little video about this post I saw by Nico, and I thought it was pretty cool. And I've seen similar things, I think, on LinkedIn and maybe some other places as well. And actually, one of the first places I saw, at least in like AEC, somebody using a controller was at a career fair in St. Louis, and they were using one to kind of fly around a model, which was pretty cool. But I thought this was kind of neat, and I'll just turn it on again. Not so much for this alone, but it did spark an idea, which was like the Asus Rogue Ally. So this here. So I was able to use one of these for like, I don't know, about a week or so, and then I ended up returning it. I got it used, and there was still like a 15-day return policy on it, and there were some issues. It had like some gray spots, or the pixels were messed up. That was kind of the biggest issue. There was a couple other things too, but I returned it and decided not to get one or a new one. They're kind of expensive, and I just decided to use my son's Nintendo Switch for gaming. A lot of the games that I play, like Demon Souls, is on there, so I just play that instead, and it has like a really long lifespan. The battery, which it lasts pretty long. At least it lasts long for just how lightweight and small the thing is. So for me, it's perfect. But I was thinking like how cool it would be not to have something like this. Like when I PC game, I use my keyboard and mouse. But there are games like I'm playing Lies of P and RoboCop, and I use the controller on my PC to play those. I actually have a Stadia controller from Google. They sent me one for free a long time ago, and then they went and closed that service down at some point. So I had this controller just laying around, and I plugged it in, and it actually worked in Steam, so that was great. So I was able to use that without using like my PS5 controller. But and so I use controllers from time to time. I wouldn't necessarily want to use a controller for Revit because it does not, for me, sound enjoyable at all. Revit is at the end goal of what you're trying to do in Revit is create construction documents, and so there's just a lot of tedious data entry stuff, a lot of tedious annotation and documentation, and so the creative aspects of it, which I would want to use a controller for, I don't think Revit would meet that very well. But it made me think like it would be so cool if in Asus, like the Asus Rogue Ally, which essentially is just like a mini PC, like you could install Revit on it. Now it wouldn't work unless you did something similar here, where you kind of patched the certain buttons to different commands and things to Revit, but it essentially runs Windows, and it's just a little PC. And it would be really cool if you could connect it into into a tool like Dynamo or Dynamo itself, so that you can explore parametric shapes, and you can design and create cool things. Because that would be something like I would do before bed. Like before bed, I usually draw, or I just open up the Switch and play a game. But to be able to like open up Dynamo and start exploring different and explore like different like designs and different cool things you can do with geometry. To me, that's what sounds exciting, because at least in the context of like something like that, like a small little handheld, I wouldn't necessarily want to use it for work, but the knowledge gain from exploring cool things like that, where you're exploring how geometry works, like it would make it less are easier to get into, right? So I don't have to be in front of a computer that has Revit, has that installed with, and has Dynamo and have all that open. I could just be sitting on my couch and I could start messing with cool stuff. So I haven't explored much of the options out there, but the thing I like about visual tools like Dynamo is that you can play around with the ideas of parametric design and explore computational design and kind of, the thought process behind that. So there's a lot of value from that than doing maybe something that is less complicated but still allows you to design stuff in that kind of hardware. So that's really, there isn't really any big point to this video. I wanted to show this because I thought it was really cool. Nico does a lot of cool stuff, so I'll link his YouTube channel below, so definitely check that out. He posts pretty often, covers a whole range of things, and is definitely worth following. So if you aren't following him already, definitely worth following. But I would love to know if anybody is using like the Ally for anything, or I know there's like the Steam Deck, but Steam Deck has got its own like OS, so you can't really install whatever you want like you can with the Ally. But there's also some other handhelds out there as well that I haven't had a chance to dig into. So I'd love to know if anybody's doing things like that where they're exploring design and playing around with stuff, because I think that would be a really cool area. Because there's been times where I've messed around with ideas for things that have evolved into practical applications at work. So doing some weird parametric ceiling thing because I was messing with some stuff in my free time, and so it was applicable to that real world example. So I think there's a lot of value, and I get a lot of value of doing things in a different way. And that could be playing video games, but exploring different ideas through different tools and different medians and just different things to kind of expand, your mind and what's possible. So having something where you can just pop it open and start messing around with geometry and start playing with things and designing cool things, and just doing it here and there in your free time, that sounds really cool, and having all that kind of bundled up into a handheld. So maybe in the future I'll dig into more of that. The price range of some of these handhelds are pretty steep, so it might be some time before I really dig into anything like that, but it definitely sounds like a really cool idea and something I would be really interested in. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And yeah, that's really all I've got. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one.